Hey guys, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So today I just want to talk about very briefly, share a couple of things with you. When you're a when you're a kid, or if you have kids or anything like that, you're like 3-4 years old. The only thing that's kind of really on your mind at that time is like playing, right? So all you want to do is like play with Barbies or Legos or something like that, and that's kind of like your focus, and that's what you want to do. And then you get a few years older, and then you start to think, your main focus becomes games, whether it's like video games or sports or something like that. And so you reflect back to the time when you're all about Legos or Barbies, and you're like, I think that's so silly. And then you get a little bit older, and you get into like college or something, and your focus changes from games to like getting married. And so that becomes your focus. You work hard at that. You go to the gym multiple times a week. You're so self-conscious of what the other opposite gender thinks of you and stuff like that, and that becomes your focus. And you reflect back on the video game days, and you're like, that's so silly. And then you get older, and your focus becomes money and your job and stuff like that, and that's what your focus is. And you think back, and you're like, I can't believe I used to spend hours and hours in the gym, for the wrong intention. If I'd done it for the sake of Allah, I'd been rewarded, but instead I was just doing it to like look good, for like a vain reason or something like that. And so money, and that becomes your focus, and you think everything else is silly. And then we get older and older and older, and then eventually you pass away, right? And then when you're in your grave, obviously your focus then is going to be the hereafter, and you're going to realize how everything else in this life was just silly, and it wasn't really worth it, or something that it's really not what our focus should be on, right? Of course, marriage and having a career and all these are super important, obviously, but that shouldn't mean that we take our focus away from the hereafter, because that is what's truly important. Everything else is kind of like silly. So and I guess just to wrap up with this idea, the analogy I want to share with you today is, if you have like a salesman come to you and you're looking to buy a house, and he has 2 houses, and you're interested in one of them is a good house, it's cheaper, and the other house is more expensive. And he tells you about the good house. He's like, this house, it's okay, but the thing is, it's going to disappear after a few years. And you're like, well, how long is it going to disappear? He's like, well, I really can't tell you. It might be here 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, but I can't tell you when it's going to disappear. But all I can do is I can guarantee to you that it will disappear. But this other one will stay forever, but it's more expensive. So in this type of situation, what would you pick? You'd obviously pick the house that's more expensive. And you realize that if you had bought the house that was going to disappear, all that money that you put into it would eventually be lost and wasted and worthless. And that's how the hereafter also is, because the hereafter, that's how the dunya is, and the hereafter is what will last forever. So if you invest your time and money into this world, it will eventually disappear. You don't know when. It might be tomorrow, it might be 70 years from now, but it will eventually disappear, versus the hereafter, which is guaranteed, obviously. Just a reminder for me too, inshallah. Jazakallah khair for listening. Assalamu alaikum.